welcome, 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 LinkedIn.
Steve Spiro, you're a mentor, you're a consultant, you're a business owner, but most importantly, you're a host of your own show and you're also a master connector.
Steve Spiro is one of my idols, and I love listening to everything that he does. He's such a dynamic individual.
Some of the topics I really enjoy speaking on is how to really connect, whether it be in person or through social media. I love to lead with my weaknesses. I lead with, my vulnerabilities. It's fine because I'm okay with who I am. Number two is how to go from being inward focused, self-focused, into others focused. Being willing to give and go out there and look to serve. That will attract the right things. Another one is on leveraging LinkedIn to really grow your business. You could reach a lot more people. You could broadcast a message to people that actually consented to want to know you. And then lastly, overcoming big obstacles.
I love sharing. I was a shy, introverted kid, picked on, bullied, learning disabled, dyslexic, really in a dark place. I was really in a box, in a shell, and I've been able to break out of that box. And so I love being able to inspire people and really help them. So the Master Connector was born.
The world is my networking event, right? I meet people all the time. My goal is to meet 3 strangers every single day.
Steve is open to meeting you. You should set up a face-to-face with Steve. One little conversation can really change your life. So we are excited to get into this. Thank you so much, LinkedIn, for being here with us. I wanted to share just really quickly as we talk about rising up and connecting. And we've gone through this, and we're going to talk about the pandemic world today, talking about meeting in person. I've been reading this book, Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. It's amazing. And I've actually experienced both sides of the coin, both from my own personal networking, but I've also been in some amazing houses of Scarsdale and Greenwich. And so I wanted to showcase today the fact that I do own a hospitality staffing company, and I go out as a waiter and bartender, and I'm in some of these really ridiculously wealthy houses. And what do? They bring their friends together and their connections over meals into their house. And Keith Ferrazzi talks about this in the book. And I thought it's something that as we're building our networks and we're aspiring to sort of rise up and connect with people better, this is a great idea. And you don't have to be fabulously wealthy with amazing art on the wall. You can put together a barbecue and bring your connections together for the backyard barbecue, for the Northeast, summertime. Let's get it. Get that into the plans, work your connections. Steve, Oscar, Phil, you're invited to the barbecue. We're going to get it. Here we go. Steve, take it away.
Absolutely. Good stuff here. And I'm hoping everyone enjoys the 4th of July weekend and it's a celebration of Independence Day and with this amazing country and freedom that we celebrate. But Sir Richard Branson said, every success story has a tale of constant adaptation, right? Revision and change. And we've experienced that, right? Big time. I mean, there's been definitely some things that have happened over the course of history that have changed things, right? Of course, the great American experiment, this country being born a little over 2,000 years ago, right? 200 years ago, not 2,000 years ago, 200 years ago, was definitely, something that changed the face of, of kind of history, right? But this pandemic has definitely created issues. It's forced people to change and pivot, and we've seen some amazing things come from that, right? I think it's pushed technology. It's pushed, I think, we were behind as far as some of the things we were doing in terms of other parts of other countries. But it is presented new opportunities. I think we're going to talk a lot about that. All the things that it's helped us all do in a lot of different ways. It's been amazing. It's been incredible. And so we're going to get into that. So if you're ready for Cameron to introduce our amazing 2 guests, I'd like you to type in right now in the comments, the way we do, type in the word ready. And listen, get in the comments. We want you in the comments. We're all about connecting and networking. So make sure you're connecting and networking with the people that are in the comments, but put in ready right now, hashtag ready. And Cameron is about to bring up 2 amazing friends of ours, incredible guests. And we're excited to do a joint broadcast with them here today.
All right, here comes Oscar. And we got Philip Reid. All right. Here we go. Let me see if I can get them both on the screen here and pull myself off somehow. This is the challenging part, Steve. All right, so Oscar Capel is the most interesting man in the world. Bouncing back from a late-stage job loss, a lifetime of volunteering in hospitals as a teenager, soccer referee, soccer coach, coaching coaches, children's magician, Operation Underground Railroad team leader, and recently helping to rebuild Mamaroneck after Hurricane Ida displaced 500 families in his village. He also raises chickens. Please welcome to the show the amazing Oscar Capel, and I have Mr. Philip Reid. Philip Reid is the president and CEO of Phoenix National Business Group, aka Phoenix National Network. Philip's company facilitates digital marketing campaigns for entrepreneurs and small businesses in the United States. Phoenix National Network also has a broadcasting channel for podcasters distributed to both video and audio platforms. Philip was born in Jamaica and raised in Yonkers, New York. Philip Reid enjoys bringing people together and celebrating life. So please welcome to the show, the powerful Philip Reid. We are so excited to have you both on the show.
I just got one question. Who's this guy, Steve? Why have I never met him? Wait, you're muted. Or I'm going deaf. One of the two.
I'm here and I'm gone. Historically, we always do a show where at least one time I have to make sure I'm on mute when I'm speaking. It's part of the signature of the show.
It's the tradition. Yeah, it's absolutely what we do here.
Absolutely. Well, here I am. Oscar, good to meet you, sir.
Nice. I shall meet you again sometime in the near future.
All right, Steve, take it away here. Get us queued up.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to have you guys on here, and we want to talk a little bit about here. Your company, right? Phoenix National Network Phoenix implies rising from the ashes, right? And so we'd like to talk about it. We want this to be an open discussion, conversation on how we've all taken adversity and used it to rise up. So if you could share a little bit, both you, Dr. Philip Reid, not Dr. Phil, Dr. Philip Reid, and Oscar, we'd love to hear your take on that question and what you feel about how the adversity has kind of, you've been able to turn that around.
Yeah, I learned just recently. Thank you for that, Steve and Cameron. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Oscar and I are big fans of your show, so we are really stoked about being here. The great thing about pressure is that there's some good things come out of pressure, right? And when I first got the idea for Phoenix National Business Group, it was really a concept of helping people come together who have the same goal, have the same desires, and the same moral standard to help each other to rise to the top. And for entrepreneurs, I find that it's hard for them to sometimes partner with others because their idea is their baby. So they feel like they have to be the only ones to give birth to this thing and to make it happen. But I found that great success comes with partnering with the right people. And the moment you can open yourself up to great connection, you'll find your business will grow. It builds this thing called accountability, that it holds you responsible to your goals. And it's a fantastic thing to have. This is how I met Oscar. When we started doing this, the Phoenix National Network aspect of the business, that's when I met Oscar. And we connected within the first 5 minutes, and we've been friends ever since. I think we reach out to each other at least once a day now. So great friendships can be formed even when you're pursuing your business goals.
My turn?
Yes, sir. Let's hear from you, Oscar.
Yeah. So again, I met Phil through a mutual acquaintance, and in the first 5 minutes, I'm like, okay, I found another relative, another, like I like to say, your vibe finds your tribe, and we just connected, and we've been having a blast ever since. And talking about entrepreneurship, somebody said being an entrepreneur is like jumping off a cliff and trying to learn to fly on the way down. And what we've done with Phoenix National Network, again, is bring people together and say, okay, how can we fly together? And yeah, Cameron mentioned that I have chickens. So I had 4 chickens at one time, and 3 of them died, and I had 1 lone chicken, and she would start crowing every morning. And I'm like, you're not a rooster. Why are you crowing? And I realized she was stressed. She was alone. She didn't have that flock around her like she used to have. Now, luckily, I got 4 more chickens now, which is quiet. But we're the same type of people. We're pack animals, and trying to do stuff alone is in the reptilian brain. It's dangerous, and it's going to kill us. So yeah, we need to form groups, and we need to help each other.
I never thought I would get emotional about chickens, but you made me emotional about chickens. I got to tell you. Holy cow. We need a name to your female chicken, and we got to go pray for her. And
she's fine now. She's absolutely good. Got a new flock with her.
Yeah, we're starting a new prayer chain for this.
Yeah, I know you have that pastoral side to you, Dr. Phil. So
yeah,
good stuff. Well, I want to chime in on this question a little bit myself. I mean, certainly there's professional things we've all experienced. As you guys know, shy and introverted, picked on, bullied, and what I was able to do was take that and leverage that and rise above that. And now, I think I pride myself on the fact that I become somebody who can connect and speak with anyone, and have grown a very respectable network. So taking these adversities and then turning it in. I mean, I remember when I was training in the martial arts, and I had, these, some really bad, I had got cutting up, eyebrows split open, under here, over here, just, my lip got split open. I mean, just crazy stuff that I got from the martial arts. And then eventually the straw that broke the camel's back is I learned not to duck into my sensei's roundhouse kick. Now he was 6'5", 300-pound, big African-American dude, big dude, super fast, super strong, coming at me. And I just ducked right into his kneecap and boom, broke the nose. The nose, not to get too graphic, but I will. The nose literally was over here. And, I just kind of, I'm not going to the emergency room. I spent 5-6 hours at a time because it's not life-threatening and they make you wait forever. So I'm like, all right, what are they gonna do? They can't put a nose in a cast. So I took the nose and I kind of straightened it, and throughout the rest of the next few days, it just kept shifting back. So I kept straightening it. Consequently, I had really, really bad, DVD septum as a result of that. But anyway, it's all good. But what I learned, here's the point. It's not about this crazy story. The point is, I learned now what I shouldn't do and what I should do. And what I became was really good at closing when I'm fighting big guys. And I'm a small guy. I was always up against big guys. So I learned how to close distance quick, get in there, jam them up, and make sure I did what I had to do. And I became really, really proficient at it. And so all those things, and then, obviously now the pandemic hits, right? And there was.
And listen, Steve, I just got to pull this in because you said something that I think is really good for networking. You close that distance quick, right? And I think you do. You have taken your martial arts skills at crossing the mat to the net, because this guy, I got to tell you, folks, and if you've networked with Steve, he closes that distance quick. That is true.
But you know what? One thing I want to point out about Steve too that I've noticed is that Steve sincerely cares about people, and I don't think that should be taken away as a short point, because that's what makes him effective.
Are we doing short jokes again now?
Whoa. Listen, Steve, we're not short. We're concentrated. There's a difference.
Vertically challenged, Oscar.
I'm just concentrated.
This is definitely not the tall group here. We got everybody together.
True, actually,
there's nobody over like 5 here, right? So anyway,
you're bigger than life on the screen now, right?
That's right. Listen, I just want to do a little pay attention. We got Josh Chernikoff who's tuning in from a plane right now. We got.
Hope you're not flying it.
Tom Herman, he's tuning in from Syracuse. I believe Steve is tuning in from Stanford. Yeah. I'm tuning in I'm broadcasting from Valhalla. Phil, where are you at?
I'm out of Princeton, New Jersey.
Princeton, New Jersey in the house. Oscar?
I'm in Mamaroneck, New York.
All right. So me and Oscar are the closest ones together here. We got 3 states between us, and we got lots of states represented in the audience. So listen, if you're watching right now, let us know where you're tuning in from. We'll try not to make fun of your state too much. All right. Jersey.
Unless it's Jersey.
Unless it's Jersey.
Unless you're Long Island. If you're in Long Island, it's done. It's over.
Well, I tell you what, you mentioned about closing distance and you know, and that, and you know what, honestly, some of the things that I've learned about in you were talking about in networking, right? I've learned how to suppress the fear, right? I probably am more afraid of people than probably the average person, but I just suppress it. I just say, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. I fear the fear and do it anyway. Fear, I've learned, is false evidence appearing real. So, and I just walk up to people and I start talking, and it's what it is, right? So it's pretty cool. But from some of the other adversities, getting laid off in the technology space and completely, in advertising, and then eventually kind of shifting into technology. That was a pivot, and that was a great pivot for me. And I could tell you so many more. And then obviously the pandemic as well. So we all have our stories. I know, Cameron, I'm sure the audience may have heard your story of what you've done to pivot with BizDev Live and some of the other things you've done. Obviously, Cameron and I seeing what's going on with what happened with the pandemic and starting this show up together and partnering up with the show, right? But you have the BizDev Live program that you do like 5 days a week, right, sir?
Not right now. Business is booming, and we're getting back on track. I mean, my pandemic story is, we were definitely better off in terms of business wise before the pandemic, but 2 years of introspection, a little help from the government with PPP. Thank you, U.S. government. Definitely gave me a moment to reflect and come back swinging. I remember Rob Genovese in our Master Networks meeting saying, the folks that take this time during this pandemic, and at that time we didn't know how long it was going to last, what was going on. But Rob Genovese, I can say that he's a smart guy. At least he had a smart moment. And he said, the folks that take the time right now to prepare are going to come out of this so much better than they went in. And I think that's something that I think we definitely took to heart in our chapter. And Steve and I have definitely taken to heart. And so many of the folks like Phil and Oscar, I think, also taken to heart and made that the case in terms of putting in that work so that your network is larger and your resources are more than what they were before.
One of the things I've learned is, in every adversity, there lies a seed of equal or greater benefit. And that's exactly what's happened, right? For many people, those who are looking at this, looking for that seed of benefit, that great piece in there. So, well, good stuff. Well, Russ, welcome to the show. We love Russ. Russ Hedge is one of our big supporters here, and we've been on Russ's show, and he's been on our show. Appreciate you. And there's a lot of great people that are visiting us today. We are going to get into the next question. So if you're ready, community, we'd like you to type in the comments right now the word rise up, right? In light of the Phoenix Network, rise up. If you're ready, let's and then we're going to go and get into that next question for everybody to share on. So here's the question. Specifically, have you found the pandemic to be good or bad? And if so, why? So let's hear from you, Mr. Oscar, first. I'll throw you to the bus right now.
Sure, I love that bus. I'm concentrated, so I go right under the bus. I never get hurt by it. So, it's as Cameron says, this is the time we took to reconnect and refigure out how we're going to do things going forward. And I think either by design or by accident, in you guys, your show and our show has been a place for people to come to during the pandemic and say, hey, there are people out there. Business is still going on. We can still help each other. So it was a nice place to go to. So the health stuff aside, for business, if you saw what was going on and you were ready for it and you were able to connect with people, it was a good business decision to keep going forward during the pandemic and using new and exciting things like Zoom and all the platforms that we're on, like Roku and Fire Stick and LinkedIn and everything. So there's still avenues to get out there and network and work and improve your business. And I've been reading a lot during COVID, a lot of great books. My library is huge now, and it's just a matter of okay, the crap has hit fan. What do we do to get out of it? And I think we've come out of it a lot better than we went in.
Absolutely. So we want to get, and I want to hear your take on this, Phil. But before we do, we want the audience to say, hey, if you felt good, the pandemic has been good. There's been good that's come of it. Type in #good. And if you think it's been bad, type in #bad, right? Because we're not insensitive. We know that there's been some challenges here for a lot of people, right? People have lost jobs. People have lost loved ones, right? We've had some major stuff, right? But in general, if there's been good, tell us. If it's been bad, we want to hear from you as well. But how about you, Phil? What's your take on how it's been for you? And this question is not meant for us to be insensitive. We know that everybody has had their challenges, and we our heart goes out for them and so forth, right? But love to hear your side of that. Oh, you're muted, sir.
Mike is out again.
Oh, there you go. Oscar, why did you mute me?
You know why.
So here's the thing, right? Even though everybody's had their different feel of what the pandemic has done. Some people have lost family members, which is very sad, and our hearts go out to them. But as far as business-wise, my perspective business-wise is that it's about opportunity. And sometimes it's just a matter of opening your mind to opportunities, right? Maybe the road that you normally travel is blocked at this moment, but maybe there's an alternate route. Maybe there's a route that you never thought of. And sometimes if we're just kind of closed-minded to the highway that we built, then we can miss the highways that have already been built before us, and off ramps that we could have taken that can actually help us make our business better. Because we're going through a low moment doesn't mean that that day is going to stay the same. We all know tomorrow is coming. So let's anticipate. Let's say, well, okay, when tomorrow comes, what could I do? What can I do today to affect tomorrow? And keep thinking along those lines. Another great thing that I found that I learned in this pandemic is partner with people. Find people that are like-minded, positive thinking, forward thinking, and find out what they're doing to make it through a tough season. And a lot of times you'll find those people and you hear what the stories of what people are going through. A lot of times you might meet people who are going through worse situations than you. And at the end of the conversation, you're like, wow, I thought I had it rough, but this person has it worse than me. So, what am I really complaining about? So it's really a matter of perspective, and really think about it that, somebody has it worse than you, and you could really help that person. I think if we think about it in that perspective, you're always ahead of somebody. And so you can help that person that's behind you, that's looking for your help, and so on and so forth. If we think like that, I think we would affect the world in a totally different way and realize that we're all here for somebody else's benefit.
Absolutely. That's great. I appreciate that. That's absolutely 100% true. One thing that, I know all of us happen to be, no coincidence here, we're all part of Master Networks, right? And we saw the adaptation of that. I don't know about you folks, but I felt more connected during the pandemic than ever before, because I had people that, I would be calling them and trying to, people I knew, and, trying to get a, coffee meeting with them, coffee get together, whatever. And it would take forever. We would never get it done. And instead we were jumping on a phone call or jumping on Zoom, and it was happening. So definitely getting more connected than ever before. And you saw it happen with Master Networks, right? They shifted over. It's a networking group, for those who don't know. We think it's a really good one. Okay. But they shifted over from, being an in-person model in the Northeast, that is, to a all virtual model, and no plans of going back, because I don't know about you guys, but it was great being in person, but there was a downside. One of the downsides is you're spending 45 minutes sometimes getting to the meeting. You're the mingling afterwards. Now another 45 minutes getting home. The meeting itself is an hour. Now you're 2.5 hours in. Whereas now, it's a solid. You wake up. You probably keep your pajama bottoms on or your shorts on. Throw a top on, and you're right in the meeting, and that's it. You fix your hair up, Oscar. I think your hair is
now we know how Steve rolls.
yeah.
But I mean, I thought Steve and I were neighbors because I'm like pajama bottoms. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. But I got binoculars on you there. So.
And it's interesting. I thought, and I'm interested for those in the audience that thought things were going to go one way after the pandemic. I thought one of the big revelations for me was like, oh, I'm going to do interviews for my hospitality company on Zoom. And so I've done a couple. Trying to get waiters and bartenders, people in the hospitality field to get on to Zoom. And I need to see uniforms. So I need to see the top, the bottom picture. So talk about pajama bottoms. I'm like, okay, dude, I'm on I need to see the uniform. Oh, I didn't know you needed me to be in the pants.
Here's the question. Did he stand up anyway? That's the question.
I don't know if I wanted him to, at that point.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
Full disclosure, I am wearing pajama bottoms. So.
but to that point, we're seeing now companies that were fully remote or partially remote, and not nobody, but most people don't want to come back to that ever again, right? They want to stay remote, and I think there's some really good things to be said there. It's given people the ability now. We've seen less usage of fossil fuel, right? We've seen the footprint, the carbon footprint going down a little bit. We've seen the cost of doing business going down a little bit. Although on the other flip side, we see high, rising inflation and all that stuff. So that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I think it's really helped us as a society in many ways. So I agree with you guys. It's been very good if you look at it for that. Again, you can look at something half full, the glass half full, the glass half empty, right?
So, I know a few people have pivoted. And so for the audience out there, I just love to get feedback. I know we had Chris Kane saying, things weren't so good during the pandemic. He was saying that he feels like our productivity as a whole society has decreased. And I got to say, I definitely feel for good reasons and bad reasons, productivity has decreased. I think, but for some places, productivity is up more than ever, right? If you're working at Amazon, their productivity is freaking through the roof, right? But whether that's good or bad for society, remains to be seen. But I'd love to know if you pivoted, hashtag, yes, right? If you pivoted, hashtag no. If you have not pivoted during the pandemic, if business remains the same, Yolanda was saying, things weren't so great for the pandemic. Tom Herman said this was good. So I'd love to know if you've pivoted or if things have gone well, and love to know a little bit more. Chris Kane, I loved having your explanation after you tagged the bad there. Definitely appreciated that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I know Chris being in an outside sales role, that was tough, right? If your business was reliant on getting out to businesses, right? I believe Chris is in the payroll industry, and getting out there and knocking on doors, and there was no doors to knock on, right? So how do you stay productive? But that's where what we're talking about is you get innovative, right? You start to leverage LinkedIn a little bit more. Maybe you start to leverage your networking and your the different people in your life, and get creative, right? The old model that was working, you may have to relook at it, right? So I think we've seen a lot of that going on.
There's an old saying: when you're going through hell, speed up. Don't stay there. Don't stay there. Speed up. Get through it. It's going to be rough. Get through it. Get to the other side. Look back and say, all right, what did I learn along that journey? And that is what a lot of as Cameron says, everyone's pivoting, and I lost my job several years ago, so I had to do that pivot way before the 40 million people that were affected by COVID had to pivot. So I was there going, been there, done that. Here's what you can do to level out that hill that you're going through.
Sure.
So
there was an SNL act, right, about this guy who was like in the 70s, and sorry, wrong one. It was where he was a caveman. He was a caveman, and he was stuck in the cave, and he was trying to dig out of the cave, right, for like the thousands of years. Then he got fossilized, and then he thawed out. And then he came out into the middle of Manhattan, And he was looking around and he's like, what's going on? All these high buildings and all these different changes that took place. And, that is typical of how sometimes we do business. We're stuck, we're in our cave. We're like, this is the only thing that works. Nothing else is going to happen. And it looks very dark, but if we just kind of said to ourselves, maybe I should take a break and look at what's going on around me. What are other people doing? I believe that's a question all of us should, if you feel like, you're stuck in the whole entrepreneurial. I was in sales since I was 15 years old. And one of the things I've learned in being in sales is find out what the top guy is doing. If I'm not making any money, I got to get close to the guy that's making money, especially when things are dry, right? Because there's somebody always making money. There's always a guy out there. You ever notice that guy in your sales department that he's like always on top of his game? and so
I think this is the power of networking. And really, when you're, I was shouting out Keith Ferrazzi's book at the beginning, like having that list of people you're actively networking. There's people that you're going to have conversations with that don't directly tie into your business. And I think Steve is a big fan of those conversations. I'm a big fan of those conversations when I'm not drowning in business work and kid engagements and all that stuff, right? You got to prioritize. But the idea that you can bring people into your network that make you more successful, and you don't want to wait till you're successful to start doing this, right? My story, Steve referenced earlier, I was, 18 and 19 and taking this winding road of like just not really good activity, not graduating high school, having a kid at 19, and I'm living in the middle of New York City. There's place and people after, person that I could potentially connect with, I could reach out to for mentorship, the wealthy, the famous, friends of friends. There's people that I could have asked, hey, I want to get someplace. What do I do? But I just didn't have the confidence within me and the know-how to say, hey, I'm really in need of help right now. I could use some guidance. Hey, I'd love to come and work for you just to have some of your success. I'll work for free. I was interning. I was working for free, but I was doing it for places that I didn't really want to be. And so shows like this and the information and connecting with folks like this that are on this show, if you're watching this, this is what it's all about, because you can sort of fast forward past all that garbage. Steve is a nice person. When we had our first conversation, he recommended a book to me, and that was the cement, the foundation of our beginning of our relationship, because it was a good book, The E-Myth Revisited, right, that talks about building your small business. And so getting those little pieces, I'm reading that book like, oh yes, I've been there, I've had that challenge. And so if somebody can give you those tips, and that you don't get that information unless you utilize the power of your network.
That's great. I love that.
So we want to
go ahead, Phil. Dr. Phil.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing to that. When I first started my business in 2009, I started with a camera that I bought off of Craigslist, right? And my ideas were all over the place. And I remember I went to this networking meeting, and I met a gentleman who owned a restaurant. And he was in the meeting, and he heard, he heard my spiel, and, I was really trying to convince people that I had a business to work, and I had everything going. I was doing everything I could do. And I remember he pulled me aside and he said, I want to meet with you. I'm going to take a couple minutes to talk with you about your business. And he took me, he set an appointment with me at his restaurant, and we sat down, and he spoke to me for about 2 hours. He invited me twice. It was 2 hours each time. And those 2 hours changed my entire business. And, this is what I'm saying is really based on experience. He saw where I was lacking and really coached me out of it to where I would actually have a business at the end of the conversation. So, there's always somebody that's willing to help you get out of whatever situation you're in because they have that experience.
Absolutely. That's great
So
stuff.
one thing I found is the more successful people are, the happier they are to help other people. So they get there by helping other people, not from taking from other people. So again, finding a mentor will take so many years off of your learning curve. They've been there, done that. Like, you don't want to go this way, you want to go that way. You don't want to learn by experience, because that's a hard road. So yeah, that finding mentors, finding other people, again, not people not in your business, not in your vertical, that know things that I don't want to bore you with some stories, but I'm at the last event we were with before we had the big golf outing. A 5-minute conversation with someone just turned everything I'm doing around. If you want to know what it is, set up a face-to-face one.
There you go. I could attest that myself. Not this last event, but the last one we had, that was just I believe it was in Scarsdale. I met a gentleman, and that relationship has been incredible, and just as a result of a conversation. So we want to kind of wrap things up, and I'm just gonna ask you to audience viewership, our community, to type in the hashtag how HOW hashtag, and we want to wrap up with some final closing thoughts, and then you guys can maybe tell our community how they can reach you. So we want to kind of touch on, not real deep on it, but how this new normal has changed how you connect with other people, and then maybe share on how you'd like them to connect with you. So if you can start with you, Oscar, if you'd like, and
Sure.
Dr. Phil will wrap us up. Take us home, Dr. Phil.
So not a lot of things have changed. I mean, when COVID was hitting and we were all locked up, that was different. But now we're getting back out, and I think it's more important now to know that we need to connect with other people than before COVID. Like Phil said, we were in our cave. We were doing things our regular way. Unlike you, Steve, that I saw you at the golf outing. You were talking to a golf ball, so I know you were connecting with that golf ball. But everybody else, wasn't. You were the only guy. But we need to connect with other people. And now that we've gone through COVID and we know we need to connect with people, now it's an open field. We know how to do it. If you don't know how to connect with people, really talk to Steve. He's mastered it. How to get a hold of me? It's really easy. OscarCapel.com is my website. I am a Legal Shield and ID Shield associate, and part of every sale we donate to Operation Underground Railroad to stop child sex trafficking here in the U.S. and around the world. And that's a cause that I've been with for the last couple of years.
Okay, so the question is a very good question for us. I appreciate the question. Phoenix National Network started out because of the pandemic, right? And we started doing podcasting. Oscar was a big part of that. And we partnered with a few other people within our business network to get it done. And we were tripping over ourselves. No kidding. We started learning the process of it. But now it is a structure all by itself. It's running very well, and it was a very good move for all of us. How you can reach me is actually by just downloading our app. We have an app both in the Droid store and the Apple store. So you just type into the search Phoenix National Network. Just type in Phoenix National Network, and you will see all the things that we are doing in our field and in our business. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. That's great stuff. Yeah, I'll just address real quick one thing I'll say. And, prior to the pandemic, a lot of my connections were made physically, right? Through just living my life out and about, or through networking. And I still value those things, absolutely. But the change now has been through LinkedIn for me. And I've been able to leverage LinkedIn pretty significantly. And speaking of which, we have two sponsors of our shows, both Wes Lemos of Sales Connector and Jordan Mendoza of the Blaze Your Own Trail. You can see that there. Thank you for putting that up, Cameron. But But those tools and just leveraging LinkedIn in general has been a really, really good way for me to really connect and reach out and really be able to build amazing relationships. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure you leverage that. Talk to our sponsors if you'd like to learn how to really do it in a way that's not going to overwhelm you. But we're appreciative of everybody. Oscar, Dr. Philip Reid, appreciate it. Anytime we could have a doctor on our show, we're just excited because, my mom was, I know she's proud of me, but she would have been proud of me if I was Dr. Steve. So, but to have Dr. Phil, I'm sure mom is super proud of you and Dr. Philip, right? Not Dr. Phil, Dr. Philip, right? So,
hey man, it's all good.
Some doctors are good.
Some call me late for dinner. That's it.
Exactly.
Right? There you go.
I don't call me late for dinner. Whatever it is, man. As long as Phil is in there, we're good.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't want every kind of doctor. I think a proctologist that we can slip on that one.
Oh man, it gave me a good visual there. I've got visions of a rubber glove. Not a good visual right now.
That's not a good.
But anyway, here, listen. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure you type in hashtag replay. We want to know if you're watching on the replay. But we're going to end the show like we do. We want to definitely rise up and connect. Make sure we're hump day. It's Wednesday. We've got half the week left. Obviously, an incredible weekend coming up for us to celebrate the independence of this country, freedom and free enterprise.
What is July 4th?
What's that?
What is July 4th?
Independence Day.
No, it's my birthday.
Well, happy birthday! Well, now we're really going to celebrate. Now I got to smash two extra cans in my head.
Independence Day thing for the United States of America or something. But there's a lot of fireworks in my honor on July 4th. So go check them out, guys.
Awesome stuff. Well, happy birthday in advance to you, Cameron, and to the US of A. So, but we're gonna end this like we always do with a countdown to Crush It. So, if you can, audience, viewership, community, just count down with us, and then shout out all caps and Crush It in the comments, and we're gonna scream out Crush It at the end of this. So, ready? 5, 4. Come on, Oscar. 3, 2, 1. Crush it! Go out there and have an amazing week, everybody. We have Aaron Galoob next week. Have you ever been blindsided? If you have, you're going to want to check into next week's episode, July 6th. Same bad time, same bad channel. We will see you there. Have an amazing week. Oscar, Phil, thank you so much for being on the show. And we're going to play us off with a video. We got people in the comments. Crush it. Val, thank you for the happy birthday. Appreciate you. Val says thank you. We got so many people typing in. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next week.
Steve Spiro, you're a mentor, you're a consultant, you're a business owner, but most importantly, you're a host of your own show and you're also a master connector.
Steve Spiro is one of my idols, and I love listening to everything that he does. He's such a dynamic individual.
Some of the topics I really enjoy speaking on is how to really connect, whether it be in person or through social media. I love to lead with my weaknesses. I lead with, my vulnerabilities. It's fine because I'm okay with who I am. Number 2 is how to go from being inward focused, self-focused, into others focused. Being willing to give and go out there and look to serve. That will attract the right things. Another one is on leveraging LinkedIn to really grow your business. You could reach a lot more people. You could broadcast a message to people that actually consented to want to know you. And then lastly, overcoming big obstacles. I love sharing. I was a shy, introverted kid, picked on, bullied, learning disabled, dyslexic, really in a dark place. I was really in a box in a shell, and I've been able to break out of that box. And so I love being able to inspire people and really help them. So the Master Connector was born. The world is my networking event. Right? I meet people all the time. My goal is to meet 3 strangers every single day.
Steve is open to meeting you. You should set up a face-to-face with Steve. One little conversation can really change your life.